Hello everybody, Rajesh here. First of all, you completely smashed it on the last video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put a link right here. I basically went to the offices of the company that I'm working with for the first time ever, and I filmed a little bit. So yeah, definitely check that out first. Right, so welcome to another day in my life. The 9 to 5 grind is basically over for today. I spent the day updating some tests in order to handle some functionality that I implemented. After that, I tidied up the desk a little bit because it was, well, pretty messy. And right now the plan is to, well, film this video, and I'm trying to fix a little bug in a little game that I'm working on. You can see like a little spoiler over there, but we'll get to that pretty soon. Right, so about the gaming stuff. I think I'm gonna start with a little rant. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been a player basically all my life. I vividly remember playing classics like the first Call of Duty or Medal of Honor back in the day. You know, that mission where you jump out of a plane right into the Battle of Normandy? Good times. But lately it feels like things changed a lot, and the industry is, in my opinion, just serving up reheated leftovers. Why do I say this? Let me explain. In my opinion, big studios have found a solution that works, and people are like okay to pay for it, and they're just churning out more of the same. For example, think about RPGs, so role-playing games. In every one of them, you start with basically nothing, so really beginner gear, and you have to grind a lot just to unlock some more gear or some new abilities or stuff like that. And that's basically it. You just rinse and repeat. Sure, the storyline can be great, and we've had a lot of games where the storyline was absolutely fantastic, games like The Witcher, but from like a purely gameplay mechanics perspective, it's getting pretty stale, and I don't know, that's just a major turnoff for me. So that's why I decided to shift gears a little bit and dive into the world of game development. Don't get me wrong, I'll still play some games here and there. Titles like God of War or Hell Let Loose have like a really special place in my heart, and you can bet I'll be the first in line to check out GTA 6 when it actually drops. Right, so game development. I'm still learning the basics and trying to figure out how code works in a gaming environment, but you know what? It's a new level of immersion. There's something magical about being able to create something playable from nothing. And sure, it may be like really simple and pretty boring, but it manages to bring joy and excitement every day. I think it's all about the journey, because you don't really know what you're doing and you have to figure it out piece by piece. So yeah, that's why I started learning game development. Before I'm getting way too emotional, let me show you what I got so far. Don't expect a lot. As I said, I'm still learning. I'll also show you where I'm learning it from, because I cannot take credit for this. And after that, let's try to fix a weird bug that I'm having together. So, the game. Right now I'm inside the Unity development environment, and if I run the game quickly, it's one of those games where you have to complete some recipes and basically serve food. And you've got these counters where you can get a tomato and you put it on that counter, and then you have to cut it, and well, that's not yet implemented, but you get the idea. You've also had this lovely animation that plays when you're moving. It's like you're like bouncing or whatever, which is pretty sweet. And the bug that I told you about, there it is. It stayed like I'm looking at it, even though I'm not looking at it anymore. See? And if I wanna get something, now it works, okay? It wasn't working like 2 minutes ago. So I'm looking at it, I'm not looking at it. Yep, so we'll have to investigate that thing in just a second. Maybe I jumped to the like a little more advanced stuff without really explaining the basics. So I'll try to explain how I understand game development and really like start from the beginning. So every game needs or starts from a game engine, which is this thing right here. It's what I'm working with right now. So what is this game engine? Think about it as a foundation, and this provides developers all the features that they need in order to bring their ideas to life. So everything from rendering graphics, handling physics, playing audio, player input is also handled. Basically everything that you can think of is packed into this one powerful package that's called the game engine. And there are a lot of game engines out there. Some of them you can freely use, some of them you have to pay, some of them are proprietary, so only certain game studios have access to them. As I said, this is Unity. I chose to go with Unity because it's a little easier to get started with, but still really powerful. So that's basically everything I know about the game engine. Now, everything in Unity is happening inside the game scene. And the game scene is basically like a certain part of the game. It can be a level, you can have another game scene for like the menu. Right now I have everything under one single game scene because it's a pretty simple game. Everything that you see right here is called a game object. And whatever you have in a game scene will be a game object. And the game object is nothing more than some box that can contain additional information about that game object. If you have no information about the game object whatsoever, it will only have this transform thingy. We'll get that in a second. And what it does, it's basically the minimum possible thing you can have in order for a game object to exist. Because all it has is a position, a rotation, and a scale. Cool, so, but what is this? Well, this is called a component. As you can see, it's pretty modular, so you have a scene that has a bunch of objects, and each object can have at least one. I'm not sure if you can delete the transform. No, you can delete the transform. Yeah, that makes sense. So I think that's like the basics covered. If I said something really stupid, I'm sorry. I'm still like learning, as I said. Next, let's check out that bug. So let's go into the player game object. And right here we can see that we have a script. And let's open up Visual Studio and check it out. The main thing that we'll focus right now is this update method. This is like a really special method because it will get called by the game engine once every frame. So if your game is running 60 frames per second, this will run 60 times per second. And the bug that I showed you before, I think it has to do with this handle interactions method that basically checks if something is in front of the player. And this is what I'm doing right here. So I'm sending a raycast. So this is basically like sending a laser beam into a certain direction, and it tells you if it hits something or not. If we hit something, it's gonna go into this if, and this will basically check if what we hit is of type base counter. Oh, okay. Yeah, I already see where the bug is. Okay, so this is really stupid. So if we have like a different counter than the last time, we select it, but if it's the same one, we actually set the selected counter to null, which is clearly wrong. If it's the same thing, we shouldn't do basically anything. So if we're basically looking at something that's not a base counter, we're gonna set it to null. So this is okay, but this else should be actually right here. So let me just quickly format this. So yeah, I think that this will solve the bug. Let's quickly check. Right, so I'm going to it, and if I'm looking away, yep, this looks perfect. So I can select some cheese, and the next part would be to actually place the cheese on the another board, but yeah, not today. Yeah, so I think that's basically it for today. I almost forgot, but this is the tutorial that I'm currently watching, and it's made by CodeMonkey. It's really well made, it's very long. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you want to see more updates regarding this game. So yeah, have a good one.